따르면 비행기는 착륙 중에 랜딩 기어가 내려오지 않았고 착륙한 뒤 활주로를 이탈해 공항 담장 끝까지가 폭발했다고 합니다. 다시 한번 전해드리겠습니다. 오늘 오전 9시 10분쯤
Hello my friends, my name is Dennis and I used to be the airline captain on this particular aircraft type, Boeing 737-800. This airplane, as you saw, crash landed in Muan airport of South Korea. According to the latest data, just 2 persons on board survived the crash. The rest, 179 persons, perished. We don't have yet the report on the Aviation Safety Network about the case, and the Aviation Herald website also doesn't give us the information because this event happened just a few hours ago. But we also have the other sources of the information, for example, the well-known Flight Radar 24, which shows the position and the track of the airplanes together with flight parameters and so on. So they already published the data of this aircraft flight 7 Charlie 2216. The flight was conducted between Bangkok, Thailand and Muan, South Korea, and the only thing that concerns me is that ADS-B data is gone over here. Then the airplane was at 500 feet in stable configuration with a ground speed of 150 knots. So initially it is understandable that it was the straight-in approach for runway 01. But the rest of the data is missing because according to the video, the airplane landed actually on runway 19er. Because here you can see the terminal building and the control tower on the airplane's left part. And definitely if you check the Google Maps, you may find the apron and all of the airport infrastructure on this side. So 100% the airplane was landing towards south, so for runway 19er. In general, this airport has a single runway which is 2,800 meters long. Quite a good one for the operation of Boeing 737. But the main question is what happened to the airplane itself and with its landing gear. Why was it a belly landing? Because here you can see again on the video, no landing gear, no nose gear, and even the landing gear door latches are not being extended. On the video you can see that the engine thrust reverser is open on the right hand engine. Well, it's kind of hard to judge on this video, the camera is shaky, but it looks like there are no flaps extended. Well, at least if I zoom in over here, it looks like the wing is clear, no flaps, but at the same time the reverser is open. Here at first I thought that there are spoilers up, so the air brakes. However, it's just the horizontal stabilizer of the airplane. It looks like the spoilers, but it is not. The spoilers were down. So it is already understandable that the airplane landed on runway 19er and probably without the flaps and without landing gear for sure, so it started to slide the runway. And then it skirted the runway and it hit the localizer antenna. And here I have the questions for those who built this antenna. Why is it so freaking robust? Because I don't have the other words to explain it. It's the first time actually I see this kind of the construction. I was in many of the airports, maybe I didn't put the attention on antennas, maybe I'm not the expert in those antennas, but it seems like it was too much of the engineering here. Because here the airplane was stopped by this concrete, reinforced concrete just immediately. Just look how thick this wall really is. And also there was the ground on the top, so this thing actually could stop maybe train, well, tank for sure. And what was it holding? Well, those mostly plastic antennas with some of the wires and just few of the metal parts. Well, usually those localizer antennas look like that. And if you want to make them higher for one or other reason, you don't need really to build a concrete wall. You may put some sort of the metal towers. They may do harm, but much less than concrete wall. So we still need to find out many of the factors, the airplane configuration at first, flaps and so on. And we don't know where the airplane actually touched the runway, what led to the landing gear not to extend and so on. But for now, the fact that airplane hit this wall, very powerful, robust wall, and it stopped the aircraft immediately, converting all of the kinetic energy into total devastation of the airplane. Yes, you may say that there is the wall behind, not far away, so in any case the aircraft would hit it, but also on the way the aircraft would lose more energy, so the damage for the aircraft could be minimized. So yes, there is the wall, it is made out of the blocks, but still blocks may disassemble, so they are not the solid concrete reinforced construction. They would not cause that dramatic damage to the airplane. But there you can see behind the wall which holds the localizer antenna. Yeah, multiple of the antennas which form the localizer antenna and signal for the precision guidance of the airplane. So it's a huge barrier in this case, a huge brewster. Well, maybe as a variant that wall was used as the jet blast wall before, but usually it is not located right at the runway edge, so I have pretty much lots of the questions to those people who constructed that wall not far away from the runway edge, creating the huge obstacle for any sort of the airplane that might potentially skirt the runway. And this video was published on Reddit. Here you can see some of the problems with the right-hand engine. Allegedly, it is Jeju Air Flight 2216, but again, Reddit, you need to cross-check this information. But 100% it is Boeing 737. And also could be Korea because of the landscape, very close to the airport, it looks like that, and Korean language. So could it be a bird strike? Yes, it could be. Could it be also the compressor stall? Yes. About the landing gear on Boeing 737, you can actually manually extend those. You have those levers for each landing gear, so basically you unlock the landing gear lock and it goes down with the help of its own weight. It requires some time to extend all of those, and for extension you put the landing gear lever in off position, you do the job and then select the landing gear lever down. So this thing has a very long cable. Since the nose landing gear is kind of light one, it's been pushed by the aerodynamic forces, so by the airflow, to be extended to lock in the down position. But here on the video I saw that even those door latches were not open. You can see it on this image 100%, and again the engine reverser on engine 1, so left hand engine, was stowed. Well, there also could be the case with the landing gear jammed in the up position. But still, according to this QRH, you may perform the mechanical extension, so manual extension, even in that case, and it should work. If it doesn't work, you go to partial or all landing gear up landing. And there Boeing tells you, don't forget, check out manual gear extension. Have you done it? What is interesting here that firstly we need to brief crew and passengers on emergency landing and evacuation procedures. So those two persons who survive may tell whether brief was conducted or not. Burn fuel off to reduce touchdown speed. Well, that flight was kind of long, more than 4 hours. But still you should have the fuel to fly to your alternate and for at least 30 minutes to circle over alternate. So obviously it's better to burn that too to minimize your approach speed. Plan flaps 40 landing. Flaps 40 is the maximum flap setting on Boeing 737-800. Set with Rev 40, it means the approach speed for the flaps 40 configuration, but on the video again the flaps looks like retracted. And of course it's better to have them extended and to have as low speed as possible in this kind of the emergency with the landing gear. Well, Boeing says do not extend speed brakes unless stopping distance is critical. Well, in that case probably it was critical, but since I guess there were no flaps, there could be also no spoilers. So speed brakes in our case. Then stopping distance is critical. Extended speed brakes after all landing gear, the nose or the engine nacelle have contacted the runway. Why do they say so? Well, after landing without the landing gear or partially extending landing gear, it is hard to control the airplane direction. You simply don't have anything to steer the airplane with, you just skid along the runway or aside from the runway, so for the speed brakes, if you extend them, they might not be extended at the same time, causing some of the yaw moment to the airplane, and in that case, the excursion from the runway is possible. That's why they say like that. And for this particular reason, Boeing also doesn't recommend to use thrust reversers unless stopping distance is critical. Here, for sure, if the flaps are up, the distance is critical. However, again we see the engine reverse on a single engine and no spoilers, no speed breaks up. Guys, here we are with hydraulic system of Boeing 737. It has 3 of the systems: System A, System B and standby hydraulic system. Well, as you can see, even with standby system we have the supplyment of the hydraulic fluid towards reverser number 1 and reverser number 2. Yes, they deploy with much lower speed, but still they deploy from the standby system. But in usual case, reverser number 1 is supplied by hydraulic system A and reverser 2 with hydraulic system B. But it seems like in this case the reverser 2 just was open. And according to this photo, this one seems to be closed. So this one open and this one closed, kind of strange. Also, the landing gear extension and retraction works with system A. Yes, there is the landing gear transfer unit, but it uses the pressure from hydraulic system B to retract the landing gear. It's not for extension. If you lose hydraulic system A, you need to manually extend the landing gear, as I showed to you before, unlocking those landing gear locks so they fall down. And they should go down. I wonder why it was the belly landing. Also, if the aircraft had no flaps on approach, it means that probably there was no hydraulic to extend those, because system B supplies the trailing edge flaps. So for me, it's kind of the strange configuration as I see. It seems like they have the hydraulics to deploy a reverse thrust, but they hadn't got any to extend flaps or landing gear. And manual gear extension without hydraulics also didn't help. Here only investigation might tell us what was the reason for it. But as being a pilot of this aircraft, it's very strange. Here's the wreckage. The airplane stopped right before the fence of the airfield. Like some of the debris even went to the fence. And this video is confirmed to be legit, so it is exactly same airplane which suffered some issues with the engine. Some say it was the bird strike. It could be, yes, but only investigation will show us. According to the data coming, only the very aft of the airplane survived, and there were 2 of the flight attendants. Well, maybe they have more information, because usually pilots brief flight attendants about emergency via intercom. And also the black boxes like cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder, they are also located in the back, so for sure they survived and will be recovered soon. So this is the tail part. Even door is over here, and the flight attendants, they are on the aft kitchen and they buckle up before the landing, and luckily at least they survived. But again, here you can see the wall where the localizer antenna is mounted. It is absolutely huge. I don't know who designed that, but it's too much. Why do you need that right after the runway? Well, I think that there should be some of the regulations introduced not to put those extra obstacles. Like in this case, I think it wasn't really necessary. Here, yes, the wall, but those are bricks, so the airplane wouldn't be just smashed into pieces by hitting it. Yes, there would be some of the damage done for the airplane in that case, but much less compared to that reinforced wall. Yes, there are a couple of the residential houses here in this area, but they're a little offset from the runway axis, and then the airplane skid off from the runway, it immediately got extra drag, so for sure it would be stopped before reaching those houses. But instead there is just a huge wall on the way. Guys, maybe I don't understand this stuff. Well, I'm not the expert in airport constructions, in those antennas, whether it is really needed or not. Maybe someone may explain to me why it was like that. Well, there are some of the runways, like for example here, where you don't have the clear way, you just end in the water, so it's impossible to create it. Or from the other hand, you have some sort of the water brewster and then the residential buildings. So here obviously, but to create extra obstacle, why? Here for example you see that localizer antenna is on the ground level, and if you want to put it up, again there are different variants. And here absolutely flat terrain for the aircraft to stop, to have it as the stopping distance. And that fence again wouldn't be that dramatic for the airplane. It's just my opinion, guys, before reaching initial report of the case. Alright, we have the report from the Aviation Herald, and I may already say that it is wrong. The aircraft didn't land on runway 01, it landed on runway 19er, we already know it. Also, it did not impact the concrete fence, it impacted the a wall for the localizer antenna. And yes, the initial approach was for runway 01, but the landing was conducted on runway 19, and still we don't know the trajectory of the airplane after it reached the 500 feet approach for runway 01. And if we go back to the flight radar 24, the approach speed here was 154 knots, which is only possible with flaps extended. It means that something went wrong with the airplane during the final approach phase if this track is definitely valid. So later on the airplane landed on runway 19. But we have the additional information that firefighters report the malfunction of the landing gear, likely caused by a bird strike. Prompted to go around, the aircraft then attempted another landing in adverse weather conditions. Well, honestly guys, I don't see the adverse weather conditions here. The weather data is yet to be received, but from what I saw, the visibility and cloud base, I guess there was no cloud base, it was fine weather. The question goes only for the wind direction and speed. Well, I think that it will be published really soon. Again, the sky was definitely clear, no clouds. And guys, I'm gonna update you on this one. A very sad case which could be, I think, avoided as the most of the aviation accidents out there. My condolences to those who lost their loved ones in this terrible crash. It's very bad that those aviation accidents continue to happen. I'm sure that we're gonna find out the reason why it happened for it not to repeat. As usual, peaceful skies for you.